On the New Year's Eve of 2024, I did a live stream for all my followers, and it became a whopping 2.5 hour session. So I decided to put it down into a multi-series, right? Mini series for all of you to watch it. So in the first part here, I'm going to talk about the review of 2024, what are the key lessons learned, market highlights, and some of the insights from this eventful year. Okay, so we'll do a review of 2024. I want to talk about some top trends that I think is likely going to happen in 2025. And I also want to share one of my top picks for the coming year. Okay, for those of you in the stock market genius community, this stock would not be unfamiliar to you. But I think for those of you who are either new to the community or you're not yet in our community, I just want to share a bit of like the research that we have done to help to benefit you as well. Okay, and the last thing is, of course, I want to share with you. Many of you have emailed me and asking about the best way to set goals, right? And I just want to share with you. I'm a very data-driven person. So what I did previously for the last 6 years, I think, right, is that I tried 17 different ways of setting goals. 17 different ways of setting goals. Now you think that there won't be so many different ways, right? There are. Actually, I think there are more than 17, right? But after trying out 17 of them, I think I found one that truly works. Okay, and I want to share with you at the end of the session. Okay, and at the end, okay, I also want to give you guys some fun. Okay, I will have a pop quiz, and at the pop quiz, I have a special prize to give to the winner. Okay, so if you want to win my special prize for 2024 going to 2025, I think this is the best present that I can give to anybody as well. Okay, stay tuned, the end. All right, now let's go straight into 2024. Okay, so just now I asked you guys to talk about how you feel about the market last week, right? Okay, how about right now? I will ask you to describe 2025. Oh, sorry, 2024. not the last week, but the whole year. How would you describe it? Okay, type in the chat. The whole 2024. You have just gone through it. 12 months, 364 days for you, right? How do you feel? What's that one word will summarize? Okay, so Biju says boo, right? Bull market, right? William says bull market. Esther says positive, right? Some of you say volatile, right? Adam says seesawing, right? Okay. Naresh, good returns. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so one thing to remember is that the best way to move forward, okay, in your life, in investing, is very often looking backwards, right? So if you go to the start of the year, actually it wasn't all rosy at all, right? Do you remember that we went into the year with a lot of negativity? Do you still remember that? Right? We were just coming out from the US banking crisis. There was the Japanese yen problem midway, right? We had Ukraine war still ongoing. We had inflation worries. We even had China having their property real estate crisis. And I don't know, some of you were even paying attention to the European side of the picture. I know these days nobody cares about the Europe side of the world, okay, but they had a very serious energy crisis, right? Partly it's also because of the Ukraine war. So going into the 2024, actually, it wasn't all rosy, you know. So while you guys feel like, hey, now 2024 was a fantastic year, I want you to remember it did not happen that way. It did not happen like that in the very beginning. Okay. So in fact, right, when we look at some of the articles at the tail end of 2023, that means 1 year ago, a lot of them were saying that, hey, US economy is going to be really bad, right? We're going to have a shock hard landing, right? A lot of the commentators were saying that this is going to be a really bad year. Some of them even mentioned that, hey, it's going to be a hard road, right? We're going to see recession. Do you remember going into 2024, it was a lot of recession talks. People were saying this is the year the recession will happen, right? In fact, one of the biggest risks that I was brought up to my attention by a lot of the professional analysts, right, is that the US commercial real estate crisis. Hey guys, do you know that there is currently a US commercial real estate crisis? Have you heard about it? Right? It still looms larger in everybody's thinking, And at the back of it, the background is the US debt. Every now and then people ask me, hey Pete, how do you feel about the US debt increasing? How do you feel about the US debt rising? Okay? But actually, in the end, with all this negativity talk, what happened? We just got the news. Global GDP was at 3.2%. much higher than expected, right? Going into the season, I think the prediction for global GDP was about 2.8, 2.9. Inflation worries, in the end, inflation suddenly went away. Right? Inflation declined much faster than expected. Okay. The only thing that kind of like have a little bit of resemblance of a crisis in 2024 is the whole unemployment problem. Right? I wouldn't say it's a problem because it just went up by a little bit. Right? Just went up by a little bit. So to recap for 2024, it was a lot of issues going into it, but nothing too bad happened at the end of the day. S&P 500, even with the recent drop, went up by close to over 20%. Nasdaq closer to 30%. Okay? So guys, once again, I want to start off with this whole session by talking about a lot of the news first. Why? Because you are 24 hours away from the next cycle of news that is going to happen in the new year. I guarantee you, when you flip open the papers, there will be people telling you the world is ending this year, just like what they said the last year. Okay? And I want you guys to. The best way is just not to read the news. Okay? The best way is just not to read the news. But if you really have to, ask yourself the very simple question. Okay? How how have all these analysts, prediction, forecasts fared in the past? Right? And in fact, if you were to dig deeper, going into the longer history, you will realize that very often the start of the year analysis were always wrong. It's to a point that if you were to bet against the start of year prediction, right, you will outperform the market, Right? That's how powerful it is, Right? So don't look at it as like, oh, wow, I read the news, somebody said next year is going to be really bad. Guess what? They said it last year as well. Okay? So how about the big teams going forward? Looking at 2024 finishing, I would say we ended off with a very, very strong note, right? The market is up. Bitcoin is, cryptocurrency is up. Bitcoin is up. Global liquidity is up. Bond prices actually start trickling down despite interest rate coming down, right? So there was a lot of risk on activity. Okay. Now,